This is a redevelopment area just off the New Lodge Road in Belfast. In a site of about 60 acres, the corporation has built a variety of houses, maisonettes, old people's dwellings and flats. It's in these 12-storey blocks that half the families in the estate must live, and from the roof of any one of them you can see the sort of buildings they replace. Dense slums. The perpetual problem facing the planner trying to improve on houses like these is that people living in any one area are reluctant to move to another, even for a new home. Understandably, they're afraid of losing contact with relations and neighbours, especially at the moment when political as well as social pressures weigh heavily. If houses only were used in redevelopment, 3 out of 10 people could be rehoused in the area. But where there are high flats as well, 6 out of 10 can return. In this flat, Mr. and Mrs. McElroy live with their 3 children. With 2 neighbours for company, Mrs. McElroy talked to us. She liked the flats, but having 5 people in a 2-bedroom flat 100-odd feet above the city imposed a strain which her friendliness couldn't hide.
Well, there's a double bed for her because I got a double bed for her because the wee girl, the other wee one, she'd be getting into her bed. But I have a double bed and the cot and a single bed for the wee boy. The 3 of them's in the one room because the baby nurse told me that there's no children should be in with their parents sleeping. Like, she's over a year, you know, she should be out of our room anyway, you know. So I've moved her into their room.
How do you like it?
I like it alright, and it's alright for me and my husband. We like it, but for the children, there's nothing for the children here. Like, they're just cooped up in the hen house, that's all it is to them, you know. There's nowhere for them to play. There's nothing, there's nobody to play with. They have to go down a couple of floors, and if they go down the back stairs, there's cement stairs there. They fail they break their head or they smash their wee head open or something like that.
What do you do with the 2 girls during the day?
They just have to play with each other. Or I try and amuse them as much as I can because they can't go out onto the lantern to play because the lantern's too slippy for them.
Do they never meet any other children of their own age?
Not unless it's a good day and I take them down outside the door to sit and play out there.
Do you think this has any effect on them?
It has. That wee girl there, this wee one here. She can't mix with anybody or any children. Sure she can't.
It's true, a child can be terribly lonely in this concrete wasteland called redevelopment. There's an emptiness. It makes children look out of place. The towering 12-storey block threatening. The tiny, fragile contents, a puff of wind could blow them away. But children, fortunately, are resilient. Most of them can adapt to their surroundings, especially when they've known others. But what of a child who's been born and lived always in a high flat? It's an unnatural life, and to most of us in Northern Ireland, a strange one. Mrs. Corr has got used to waiting for the lift, and to bringing her little girl up 10 stories, or about 100 feet, to home. It's a long way behind closed doors. Mrs. Corr, how do you like high flat life?
Well, I don't like it very much. Not with the children, you know.
How long have you been living in these flats?
5 years.
Do you find there any problems, especially with the children?
Oh yes, with the lifts, you know, with the big pram, it's hard, you know, getting on the lifts.
If you could get a flat, say, on the ground floor, would you like that?
Well, I prefer a house, you know, to a flat.
Why? What's the advantage of a house?
Well, you have a garden, you know, and then you have a front door, like you can always go in and out the front, you know.
What's going to happen when the children grow older?
I don't know, unless the corporation gives me a house, I'll probably have to stay in the flat.
How many children have you got now?
3.
Have you enough room for them?
Well, they're wee girls, you know, lucky enough with the 2 rooms.
And after school, what then? There's the old play area, designed by the planners, ignored by the children. They'd prefer to improvise with a few sheets of corrugated iron on a piece of landscaped concrete. The one large open space, part of an old military barracks, is now a football pitch. There are 3 or 4 swings in a distant corner and an old recreation hall for at least 1,500 children. The corporation promises better facilities and an urban motorway overhead by 1976.
This area we're in now was the original play area. We had swings here, which were over in this section over here. But unfortunately, they had to be taken away. The old age pensioners who live along in these houses here at the back, kids were swinging on these things here at all hours of the night and day. So next thing is they just had to take the swings away. So we moved the swings over to the area over here. We have an expansive waste land just outside our hall here. And we have taken the swings over there, put them back up again. They're away from the houses and flats.
Apart from the very large quantities of ammunition, about 10,000 rounds that were found in this hall, there are some other very interesting items. In particular, these claymore mines here, which are very sophisticated, and as you can see by the one that's broken down, have vast quantities of nails, which would be thrown a considerable distance by the blast from the explosive here, would cause great damage. They've also made their own stick grenades, which are very similar to the German Second World War throwing type. Another interesting part of this is the fact that they have the facilities now to make their own bullets. There is powder, heads, percussion caps and cartridge cases for making bullets at home. There's also some very large caliber ammunition, .5 cannon. One hopes they haven't got the aircraft to use this in. There is some dum-dum ammunition, which is particularly dangerous if it hits a person, as it spreads and causes a very considerable wound.
you tasting? Now we just sit and wait.
you tell me what this road is going to mean to you?
Well, the fact is it's going to be 26 metres from our building, the building we live in. There's already some structural cracks in the top of the roof, so we don't think it would be terribly safe. The fact that it's going to take in what little play area the children have in the estate.
Are you worried about the noise as well?
Quite very worried about noise, and the fact that there's going to be so much heavy traffic going right across the road.
This proposed motorway will be coming very close to where these people have to live day and daily. It will be coming so close that the lead position in relation to the children in this area will be very dangerous. We'll have the whole noise where people having to live here in high-rise flats, and on top of that, this area is vastly overcrowded as it is, and we have an acute housing problem in this area. Well, what the people would require in this area would be this land here that's available to be used for housing to make this a far better community.
Well, I appreciate the residents have fears as to what is going to happen, but these we are hoping to be able to explain to them. The first fear they seem to have is one of noise. Now, we have done very careful checks on the calculation for noise, and the noise levels, even in 15 years' time, are such that double glazing might be required, but there certainly will be no difficulty with noise when the road's constructed.
What about vibration and the other main fear, pollution?
Well, vibration, I know fears have been expressed about the danger to the high-rise flats, but those flats are in fact constructed on boulder clay, and we've checked the foundations of those. The road at that point is at ground level, and there will be no danger as far as the foundations are concerned. We're quite satisfied in that point.
And pollution?
Pollution, we have done extensive tests all over the city. The highest pollution is on Queen's Bridge at peak hour in the morning, and there the level of pollution is such that there's no fear, and certainly at Churchill Flats there will be no pollution whatsoever, and be quite satisfied with that.
The Workers' Party report says that social conditions in the flats are poor. The survey found that only 1 person in 5 had a job, and almost a quarter of households are single-parent families. In addition, the survey found complaints from tenants about damp floors and walls. Residents also complained about a lack of fire precautions and personal safety, and frequent breakdowns of the lifts. The report concludes that conditions are so bad that demolition is the answer. That the flats should be demolished.
People have had to endure an awful lot here over a long number of years. And what we're saying is that if the Housing Executive cannot face up to that, and we know the Housing Executive have done a tremendous job all over Northern Ireland, but at the end of the day, these flats have proven to be unsuitable for the type of families that have been in them.
Up to a third of the flats in the survey suffer from flooding, caused, the residents say, by poor drainage. Many tenants have had to replace their carpets and furniture 2 or 3 times.
I put in for compensation, and last night, no later than last night, my toilet started bubbling up, and when it bubbles up it hits the ceiling. I'm waiting on a new floor. Since July 1987 I haven't had it replaced yet in the bathroom, and I haven't had any compensation at all for it.
The Workers' Party admits that the Housing Executive have spent a lot of money on the flats, but repairs and renovations, they believe, can only provide a short-term solution.
The Secretary of State, Peter Brooke, who was visiting Armagh today, was asked for his reaction. He refused to comment on the precise circumstances surrounding the death and said he would be getting a full report.
You know that the circumstances under which plastic baton rounds are used, they have been used in the past. They are only used as a matter of last resort. Just as I regretted the events of last night, naturally I also regret the need to have used plastic baton rounds in response to them.
Mr. Brooke said he had no grounds for supposing that the security forces had used plastic bullets other than according to the lawful rules of engagement last night. However, the SDLP councillor for the New Lodge area, Dr. Brian Feeney, questioned whether the police did follow correct procedures.
Well, the statement by the police is a blanket statement. It isn't actually dealing with the circumstances of that young man's death. And what appears to me extraordinary is that the police don't know when or how he was killed. And it seems to me that that's prima facie evidence that the rules of engagement for plastic bullets were not being used, because no policeman knows how that young man was killed. Was it here or was it at another location? In other words, they were not firing at a defined target and they did not see that person falling. So no one can say.
Police and troops were still at Dill House in the New Lodge area today. Most of the residents were back in their flats, but the 9th floor was closed off. There was a search and a detailed forensic examination. The bomb was found last night. The explosives were inside a wheel bin on a landing. There was a booster, a detonator and a timer. More than 150 residents had to leave their homes during the alert. Some of them spent several hours in the nearby community centre. The IRA say the bomb was incapable of exploding and that the evacuation was unnecessary. The discovery of the bomb came hours after 3 men were arrested at nearby artillery flats. The police say a shotgun, a radio scanner, gloves, scarves and battery testers were found.